River North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today on behalf of the people of Peace River North, and frankly, on behalf of every rural, northern, and interior community in this province. I cannot stand or I cannot support this bill. It's not just incompetence anymore. It's not even ideology. It's indifference. A complete, total indifference to people who are affected by this government's decisions. Bill 25 makes that painfully clear. This government knows its housing policies are failing. They know communities are struggling. They know municipalities are drowning in unfunded mandates, broken promises, impossible timelines, and yet they keep doubling down. Over these past months in conversations at UBCM, in calls from mayors, in meetings with councillors, and in countless conversations at coffee shops, small businesses, community halls, and gas stations back home, the message is being consistent. We want to build housing, we want to grow, but we're not going to support bills that bulldoze local voices and imposes density without any regard for infrastructure, engineering, or safety. I actually think about my colleague when she mentions a book by George Orwell, and she mentioned Animal Farm. I was thinking more along the lines of 1984, but I'll continue, Mr. Speaker. Peace River North is not Vancouver. It's not Burnaby. It's not Victoria. We are a region with space, land, industry, long winters, frost heaves, septic systems, lagoons, deep water lines, heavy trucks, and communities spread across large distances. Our needs are different. Our infrastructure is different. Our realities are different. And this government continues to pretend that British Columbia is one single urban neighbourhood instead of a vast, diverse province. Bill 25 forces density where it may not be safe. It eliminates local parking requirements in communities that depend on vehicles for survival. It gives minister sweeping powers to rewrite zoning bylaws, erasing council decisions, public hearings, and communities' input with a single signature. And at no point does the bill require the province to prove that the infrastructure beneath these neighbourhoods can handle what is being forced onto them. At UBCM, local governments were crystal clear. We are not opposed to housing, but the province must partner with us, not override us. They asked for collaboration. They asked for transparency. They asked for engineering-backed planning. They asked to have a voice. And this bill hands them the opposite: centralized control, blanket mandates, and a planning model built for Vancouver applied equally to the north, the interior, and rural regions where it flat out does not fit. And let me speak plainly here. The democratic consequences of this bill are severe. Removing public hearings, removing local zoning decisions, allowing the minister to rewrite bylaws unilaterally. Speaker, this is not how you build trust. This is not how you build communities. This is not how you solve housing. This is how you divide the province and silence the people who actually live in these neighbourhoods. Mr. Speaker, centralizing power has never solved regional inequality. It didn't work in healthcare when the local boards were dissolved and replaced by regional authorities. It hasn't worked in education, and it will not work in municipal governments. When you remove local control, you don't create efficiency, you create bureaucracy. You create administrative expansion. You create new enforcement units, compliance divisions, provincial managers, and reporting structures that cost taxpayers more money and deliver less accountability and transparency. And municipalities will be forced to hire additional staff to meet the provincial mandates that this bill imposes on them. This bill proves the NDP doesn't trust anyone, not the councils, not the citizens, not the experts. Instead of admitting their past housing legislation didn't work, they simply erased local decision-making entirely. Zoning, overwritten. Parking mandates, dictated. Density forced, everywhere. OCPs, silenced. Heritage protections, ignored. This is a government that doesn't just refuse to listen, it refuses to acknowledge that anyone else might have anything worth saying. This bill is built on a lie that the province can fix housing by controlling municipalities. They couldn't fix permitting, they couldn't fix affordability, they couldn't fix supply, they couldn't fix homelessness, they couldn't fix short-term rentals without chaos. So instead of facing the truth, they grab power and bulldoze process. When a government stops caring about local democracy, that is not confidence. That is not vision. That is not strength. It is a government admitting, we don't know how to solve this, so we'll just simply take over everything. This government has stopped caring about outcomes. They only care about control. They don't care if municipalities can't afford infrastructure. They don't care if neighborhoods aren't ready. They don't care if British Columbians were genuinely consulted. They don't care if communities lose their identity. They don't care if housing actually gets built. They care about the headlines. They care about announcements. They care about forcing compliance so they can pretend they are fixing housing. I cannot support a bill that raises taxes, expands bureaucracy, ignores engineering realities, and strips local voices from the planning process. Mr. Speaker, there is a better path forward. There always was. If this government truly cares about housing, then it must work with local governments, not against them. It must require engineering assessments before density is imposed. It must restore municipal decision-making. It must listen to the UBCM resolutions and the concerns raised by mayors and councillors from across the entire province. It must recognize the fundamental difference between urban and rural regions. It must respect Indigenous, rural, and northern perspectives equally. And it must build a planning framework that reflects the size, complexity, and diversity of British Columbia, not just the needs of one region. Mr. Speaker, this bill needs to go back to the table. It needs to go back to the communities it impacts. It needs to go back to the municipal leaders who see the consequences firsthand. It needs to go back to the engineers who understand capacity. It needs to go back to UBCM, to rural caucuses, northern perspectives, to Indigenous governments, to planners, to local councillors, and to everyday British Columbians who are being treated as an afterthought in their own neighbourhoods. We need a model that builds responsibility, sustainability, and locally. We need a model that respects democracy and governance. And we need a government willing to listen, not dictate. Mr. Speaker, Peace River North cannot support Bill 25, not because we are opposing housing, but because we value responsible growth. Not because we resist change, but because we demand planning that keeps our communities safe. Not because we want to fight with the province, but because we believe in the people who live in our region and deserve a voice in shaping its future. This bill in its current form is not the solution, but with real consultation, real engineering, real respect for the local government, and real collaboration between urban and rural British Columbia, we can build something better. Mr. Speaker, British Columbians don't need another top-down decree from a government that has stopped caring whether their policies work. They need a government that cares enough to listen, collaborate, respect communities, and build real solutions, not bulldoze them. Bill 25 is a confession of failure, not a path forward, and we will not support it. And anyone who believes in local democracy, responsible planning, and regional respect should not support this bill in its current form. Thank you very much.